we have a revisit of a drive shaft I built last week. Mr. Josh skiing. It was unfortunate, just there were some changes made at last minute, I believe, and this drive shaft needed to be shorter than when I built it. It's now down to 54 inches from 57 and an 8, I believe, at the time. So this one was kind of the unicorn drive shaft. That I put almost no weight on, and I mean, making the changes is, you know, it's just stuff that happens. It's not it's a deal, but it's not a big deal. But the lesson here is, or just the interesting thing is just the simple fact of taking this apart. Yes, I cut that end off, if that's obvious, but I disassembled this end, indexed it, indexed the caps, put them back in the same hole. You know, you ask 10 out of 10 people would say that would be the exact same thing when you go to rebalance it. Yes, I changed that end. Once again, I did change that end. All I did was shorten it. And I even indexed that yoke and put it back exactly in phase with this yoke. That's how cray-cray I am. And the U-joints went back in the same holes. In other words, I made it as much the same as I possibly could, and yet it changed the balancing dynamics of this shaft quite a bit, because this is the one, it was kind of like the unicorn, and I could have sent it out the door before with no weights at all, and it's still very good, but I did have to make more weight correction on it this time. And the interesting thing is, I mean, this is probably more of a function of cutting one end off, but I got it running out the same amount, it's the same piece of tubing, everything's the same, but it changed it from force imbalance. Force imbalance is basically the whole thing rising and falling together, to couple imbalance. Real briefly, that's this end rising, that end falling. There's like a 180-degree weight package. It's going like this instead of like that. So, you know, it's just drive shaft trivia there, but so she's tuned up again a little bit, just like I said, it had to have a little bit more weight package this time. Not a surprise, it happens almost every time you cut one open. So that's turning, we'll crank her up. That's 3,000 RPM, 0 at the transmission, dead flat 0, and 0 at the rear axle. So once again, the unicorn is back to unicorn status.